Hello and welcome back to BookTube with Amy. Today is going to be my most recent weekly wrap up. However, I've read a lot less than I usually would because this is 2 weeks worth of reading, because I always try to read my Try That Trope books when my next Try That Trope goes up, so that I am not wasting any time. But I didn't this month, just by everything that was going on with the library and stuff. I just didn't have it in me, so I haven't really picked up a great deal of books, to be honest. But let's jump into what I've read anyway. So I read 3 Bedrooms, 1 Corpse by Charlaine Harris, and this is the 3rd book in the Aurora Teagarden mystery series. Now, I read this as part of my Into the Library read along that I'm co-hosting with Ange over at Angie's Book Chatter, and I didn't enjoy this one as much as the rest of the series. This is a cosy mystery about our main character named Aurora, and she lives in a wee town called Lawrencetown, and she, in the first book, was part of a club called the Real Murders Club, where they were like a true crime club, can I say that? And she ends up getting into sleuthing like every cosy mystery ever. And this one I wasn't too much of a fan of it, to be honest. I think that there was some stuff in here specifically around about race that was pretty dated. I think that Charlaine Harris always tries to write stuff that is a wee bit thought-provoking at times, and so, you know, perhaps some of the stuff that she had written in here was to provoke a certain train of thought as to whether or not those thoughts were legitimate or acceptable, or if it was like to shock. But I just felt like they hadn't aged very well, and I didn't really enjoy that element of it. And then I also just felt like this book was really heavily focused on Aurora's relationship status and sort of her romantic life, as opposed to the actual crime that was going on or any of the other people in the town, really. And so I didn't enjoy this one as much. It wasn't my favourite instalment, but I'm not going to say any more than that because we will have a live show about this one. I believe this will be on Angie's channel. So this is a 4-star read for me. My first Charlaine Harris that I've ever read that wasn't a 5-star. I still did enjoy it, but it can't get 5-star status because of some of the issues that I did have with it. And then I read Captain America, Steve Rogers, The Trial of Maria Hill, and this is the 2nd graphic novel in like the wee story arc that I have been reading. And so in this one, Captain America is still being a double agent for SHIELD and Hydra at this stage, although this one was sort of hinting at that he wasn't quite as double an agent as we had assumed. Again, I really enjoyed this one. There were some pretty sad moments of this, and I like the way that these are set out because it is like in a courtroom and then like it spirals back and we get everything that has happened. I just think it's a really engaging way of storytelling. The artwork was brilliant. We had so many fan favourite lovable characters in here. It was really great, and this was a 5-star for me as well. I didn't find this one to be quite as thought-provoking as the first one, because the first one was the first time that I had really encountered a lot of the early days of SHIELD, and so I found it really, well, thought-provoking, I guess. But I didn't find this one quite as thought-provoking as I did the first one, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I read The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey, and this was the book club pick for me and Angie's Fiction Addiction book club. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I wasn't too sure how I was going to feel going into this, to be honest. Disney on paper seemed like a me book. Like, slightly, because there's some like sci-fi elements to it, which is me or the back, but this presents itself mainly as a thriller, and like I am not really a thriller kind of gal, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. In fact, I devoured this book and I read it like over the course of 2 days, and Simon read this with us as part of the book club and he did the same. Like, he could not put it down. I didn't want to say too much about this because we are going to have a live show about it on my channel on the 30th, but it was excellent. There is so much really good social commentary in here around women and women's place in society, and you know, how we view women based on their choices on children, and you know, what they can add value to in terms of their career or their chosen field, and really deep conversations about the meaning of human life, like in human existence, and just so many great points in here. I really enjoyed this. I felt like it was such a quick, easy read. This book is definitely more character focused than plot focused, I would say, which is a winner for me because I'm a character driven reader. However, if you're a very plot heavy driven reader, then this maybe isn't something that you're going to enjoy, because although plot was happening, I feel like it was very secondary, and you know, the main focus was our characters and their thoughts and feelings and everything that they were going through, as opposed to like necessarily the plot. And so I really enjoyed that element of it. I thought that this was brilliant, and this was a 5-star read for me. I then read Goodnight Mr. Tom by Michelle Megorian, and I read this as part of the FOMO book club read along that is hosted by Jem, Jack and Alice, and I really enjoyed this. So Goodnight Mr. Tom is a middle grade book, and it follows a boy who is evacuated from London during World War II, and he gets sent out to the countryside to live with a man, spoilers, called Mr. Tom. And it's all about their relationship forming and Tom really helping William come out of his shell, and a lot about William's relationship with his mum and how that affects him in his life, and then only briefly really everything about the war. It doesn't really go into that too much, so if you're not a reader who really likes to read about war, then I think this could still be a book for you. Now, I read this in primary school, and I haven't ever read it since, but I remember thoroughly loving it and it breaking my heart. And they also did a TV movie adaptation for the BBC that I have spoken about on the channel before, that I really love and really enjoy and would watch quite frequently as a child. I just thought it was brilliant, and like, I guess in a way, right, Mr. Tom was like that OG old man grumpy character that I seem to really love and resonate with in books. I think he was maybe like the first time I had ever read that character arc and was like, I like this, and that's not something that I really thought about until I was rereading this book, and I couldn't really think of anything earlier that I had read where anybody fit that profile. So Goodnight Mr. Tom shaped my entire reading apparently on reflection, because I do really love those sort of curmudgeonly grumpy older characters, whether they're male or female, and this was probably the book that started it, because on the outside Mr. Tom is quite gruff, and you know, he's like a proper man's man, and is a wee bit hardened by life, I would say, and it definitely has taken its toll on him. And then we find out that he's actually just like a complete and utter softie, and I just love that. Like, that is my shtick 100%. I love it so much, and so I really thoroughly loved rereading this, and I did it in a day, to be honest. I just started it and was like, right, let's get through it. And I couldn't put it down. I forgot how engaging it was and how quick a read it was. It doesn't take long at all for there to be action happening, and that's something that I really enjoy when I tend to read middle grade, is that it does happen a wee bit quicker, because the author obviously has in mind that it needs to try and keep the children's attention, and like, I clearly need that in books, because I have the attention span of a child apparently. So I really enjoyed that element of it, but I also just really loved the characters. I feel like William really gets this wee group of pals and really comes into his own and really embeds himself in the community, not just with people his age, but with teachers and other people that he knows through Mr. Tom, and other people who have taken in, you know, his now friends who are evacuees. And I just really loved it. It was really cute and really cosy and immensely wholesome at points, but also in other aspects of it, humongously heartbreaking. And I'm going to sort of go into spoiler territory here, so for anybody who hasn't read the book, who wants to and doesn't like a spoiler, have a nice life, see you later. Anybody who wants to continue into spoilers, stick about. So we find out that Will has a really abusive mum, and she is really heavily religious, and she beats William, and she instills a lot of ideologies in him that aren't necessarily straightly like religious values. It is a lot of just her opinions, and religion is sometimes like the excuse. Some of it does come straight from religion and she's just very hardline about them, but some of them are just sort of her opinions. Like she doesn't like for Will to smile, and at one point when Will goes back to visit her after being with Tom, he smiles and she's like, I will need to beat that smile out of him, because if he's happy and he's smiling then it means I've lost control, which is horrific. And one of the saddest things in the book is Will gets called back home. He gets a letter to say that his mum's not well and that he needs to go back to see her, and when he gets back he finds that his mum has had another baby, but she's treating the baby so horrifically. She's got sellotape over the baby's mouth so that the baby doesn't cry, and when the baby does cry she doesn't want to pick it up, and she also doesn't want William to pick it up either, because she wants the baby to learn to shut up basically. And the mum buggers off and leaves Will with the baby, and unfortunately the baby starves and dies, and then Mr. Tom comes to find Will because he hasn't heard anything from him and is like, what is the script? And I think that the book deals with mental health in such a brilliant way for it being a middle grade, and it deals with some pretty heavy topics. And as much as it is so sad to read, like, it doesn't feel overwhelming. And I don't think that a child reading this book would feel overwhelmed by the content. Like, it deals with heavy topics but in such a light way. And I think that after the fact all this happens and Mr. Tom basically takes Will back home, and he wants to become his legal guardian, you know, because he's really grown to love and care for him, and vice versa. And they have a conversation about Will's mum, and I think that it would be quite easy to absolutely slate her and be like, you know, horrible, terrible person, da da da, to make Will feel better. But Tom doesn't. You know, Tom has a really grown up conversation with Will about it and explains that he thinks his mum was very unwell, you know, quite mentally ill, and that a lot of that had an effect on how he was raised. And I just thought it was such a lovely way to do it, and, you know, a really good conversation to have, that you can understand, maybe know why she's done these things, but like maybe what's led her to be the way that she was. And I thought that was really good, and it would maybe help Will sort of come to terms with everything that had happened, and, you know, and deal with that later on in life when he is an adult. And I just thought it was handled fantastically. And at the end of the book I was like bawling my eyes out because Will calls Tom Dad, and that was me. I was away. I can feel myself getting emotional thinking about it now. It was absolutely brilliant. I just thought it was such a great wee story. All the characters are phenomenally written, and like I say, even though it's quite a heavy book, I think it's so accessible for kids, and a really great way to, you know, talk to them about some of these issues. So I thought it was fantastic. It was a 5-star read for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying everything that you're reading at the moment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!